Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's council meeting. If you haven't already, would you please silence your cell phones? City of Anamosa City Council Agenda, regular session, Monday, December 11th, 2023, 6 p.m. Anamosa Library and Learning Center. 1.0 roll call.
Crump,
Here.
K. Smith. Here. Tukin. Here. Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Here.
Gumpert. Absent.
5 members are present in chambers. There is no one Zoom in this evening. 2.0 Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3.0 Consent Agenda, Review and Approve. I will read both items listed. Council can make a motion to consent, a consent motion, which will bring to vote both items, or they can make a motion on the individual. Item A, minutes from November 27, 2023, regular session. Item B, current bills.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Teresa. Council discussion on the bills that have been submitted before you.
Is the Geo bond payment to UMB Bank, is that include the first one for Old Dubuque Road? Okay. Thanks.
Also have any other questions? Does the public have any comment? Penny, I'm inquiring on page 1 under Department 290 solid waste, the brush pile grinding, $7,240. What was that? What did that encompass?
Chamber on Streets Department, that was our brush pile. We ground it to make mulch. So that was Rachi Construction.
That's that, I take it the pile
Yep,
down at the waste dump area.
yes.
How often is that?
We're gonna try and do twice a year. We cut a bunch of dead the ash trees down this year. And then we piled them up and then we ground. Hopefully we won't have that much next year, but the pile's already looking like it's half of what it was already, so we're gonna have to split the bill next year, maybe spring and fall.
Twice a year, we're looking at about $14,000 to $15,000.
Yeah, we're just gonna use what we have and grind in before the July 1. And we'll get a bill for half and then see if we can't get the other half for afterwards. So we can do more in the fall.
Thanks for
So
clarifying.
What do you guys do with all the leaves? I mean, they're just grinding wood, but what do you guys do with the leaves?
They're ground too. We're grinding everything.
Yeah.
We're grinding the leaves, the bushes that people bring, your flowers, everything gets put in to the mulch. And then I got some cattle farmers that are using it as bedding. So they're getting it out of here for us. They just come and get it when they got time. So, and you can use it too for, for your flower beds if you like it. It's got some dirt in it. We just kind of left it up to the people to go down and get it. In the spring, we don't haul it all the way till, about the end of June, 1st of July, maybe August even, and let people get it for putting it in their flower beds and gardens and whatever. So it's working out pretty good. It's all gone by the time we go to mulch again. So cleaned up, and then we're all cleaned up down there. I know This year, we're probably gonna have a little bit of an issue, because if that big tank gets put in, we're gonna have to grind probably sooner than later. And then it'll probably have to be hauled out a little quicker, but I'm working at it. I got some more farmers that would like it, so we're just gonna keep on rotating, I guess. Thank
Thanks for that explanation. And Penny, also on page 2, under fire service. FEMA has a notation for overpayment for $1389.20.
I don't know all of the specifics. I do know that we have to see the statements from FEMA that, the fire department has a civic grant. And, we must have gone through an audit and realized that this is over to the platform. I think the most specific is from the fire chief.
Okay. So I have. To recap, we have a motion from Rich, second by Teresa, to pay the bills. Council, do you have any other questions? Penny, would you conduct a roll vote?
Kate Smith,
Yes.
Tukin,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Yeah,
Yes.
Motion to approve, consent agenda carried. 4.0 public hearings, none. 5.0 proclamations, none. 6.0 postponed items, none. 7.0 council action items. 7.1 ordinance, amending the Anamosa Code of Ordinances by repealing section 72.07 pertaining to golf cart registration requirements, final reading.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion by Kay, second by Alan. Council discussion. Public comment. Benny, please.
Tukin,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
yes,
Trump,
Yes.
Kate Smith,
Yes.
Motion to approve final reading carried. 7.2 ordinance, amending the Anamosa Code of Ordinances by amending chapter 69.12 pertaining to downtown restricted parking, final reading.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Kay, second by Teresa. Council discussion. Public comment. If you would please state your
evening.
name and your residence.
Sure. My name is Kathy Dearborn, resident at 149 Country Club Court in Anamosa. I'm a Main Street business owner and until recently was a resident on Main Street for approximately 2.5 years. I strongly disagree with the proposed ordinance change for 69.12 downtown restricted parking, specifically section B regarding 2-hour parking. Per the November 13th City Council meeting, this proposed change was merely to match the ordinance with signs which are already posted on Main Street. It was disappointing that the council did not have any discussion on the matter, as they're likely unaware that these signs are not being enforced. Instead, they just voted yes. Note from my own observations and general public knowledge, these signs have not been enforced in the last few years. I'm assuming this ordinance change would allow the police to start enforcing these signs. While I understand firsthand that giving tickets to the residents who habitually park on Main Street may solve an issue specifically directly in front of my own business, but this ordinance would be more detrimental to my customers and other Main Street businesses than beneficial. My customers frequently have appointments for more than 2 hours, and they regularly go to other businesses before and after their appointment. For those not familiar, my business is a bring your own food and beverage facility with the intent to help support other local businesses. Ordinances should not penalize patrons of downtown businesses. For example, last Friday morning, I had customers in my business from 10 a.m. until noon. They then went to another Main Street business for lunch. They shouldn't have to worry about how long they park their car on Main Street while spending money at Main Street businesses, which benefits the entire community by keeping downtown businesses open, but also through the local option sales tax revenue. Another example for other Main Street businesses would be patrons going to a bar or restaurant to watch football or basketball game. Games last more than 2 hours, and I'm sure those business owners want those customers to stay and continue to spend money after the game is over. Another example would be Saturday morning retail shoppers. Most go to the coffee shop, stop at all the stores, and hopefully stay downtown for lunch. We want them to stay downtown for longer than 2 hours. It appears this proposed ordinance is a solution for a minor issue. However, it has not been thought through for the greater good of all downtown businesses. The costs highly outweigh the benefits. Tom Durgan made a valid point at the last meeting. Who's going to enforce this? Is the city going to hire another person to monitor and enforce parking restrictions? Is someone specifically going to be assigned to mark tires? That's not fiscally responsible. The easiest solution is to merely remove the signs that state there's 2-hour parking limit. It's very simple. The next step would be to enforce the current existing ordinance of no parking on Main Street from 2 a.m. till 5 a.m. I strongly believe that that would help resolve the issues of residents parking on Main Street during business hours, as they will be used to parking in the free offsite parking lots available. Another possible solution would be to offer permit parking for residents in off-street parking lots. Could provide revenue for the city and convenience to residents. Prime location for permit parking would be directly behind Town Hall, which is currently marked for city officials only, but in my opinion is not needed, as there's plenty of parking on the south side of the building for all city officials. In summary, the city shouldn't create an ordinance that hurts downtown businesses and that they aren't able to or do not intend to properly enforce. The council has been removing ordinances in recent meetings for that very purpose. This is no different. I respectfully request the council does not approve section B of ordinance 69.12. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Tom Durgan, downtown property owner. I agree with everything she said. Obviously, you guys know that from the last meeting. I think this is just a complaint, like I said before, from one or two people. It's, if you do anything, keep it to the overnight parking. Just the last snowstorm, every snowstorm that comes through here, there's cars. And what I understand is they have been ticketed for that. I think you are making a big mistake by doing this. Someone in her business, like she says, they're there doing whatever they're doing. They go down to Tucker's, they go to the bowling alley, they go to Tyler Downey's, they go somewhere to eat. No matter where you go in this town, you can't do it in 2 hours if you're spending money. You're going to chase people off. And if you do this, once again, I'm requesting that you guys go back to 2003 and any tickets that were issued other than the overnight ones. I'm asking you to repay these people for their tickets. I don't know what's going to take to do that, but once again, I'm requesting that you need to pay them back if they had a ticket for parking, and this is not correct. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? We have a motion on the floor to approve the ordinance, amending it. It's a final reading. Motion was made by Kay, second by Teresa. Does council have any other discussion?
I think they've got a point. Maybe we should table it and discuss it a little bit more. The overnight, if we start giving tickets, and we really do start giving tickets overnight, those people who live downtown will definitely move their vehicles during the day and park someplace else, because they're not going to want to pay tickets every time they come out of that, or out of their apartment, or where they're living. They've got a point about the businesses downtown. That's something I didn't think of. I think we should table it and discuss it more.
There's a motion on the floor to approve. This is going to be rescinded.
I have a comment too. I mean, dealing with section B. Good point brought up. I mean, it mentions Sundays and holidays. I mean, if we were to just have it be Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday, change that wording. What's your thoughts on that? I don't know if we can. You say most of the business would be on You're talking about coffee shop and that on Saturday.
But again, why are you trying to discourage anyone from spending money on Main Street? I think the issue are the people who aren't spending money on Main Street. So no matter what day of the week it is, I honestly am not normally here during the business hours on Monday through Friday. But I would expect that there's still a pretty good presence for the other retailers on Main Street or just restaurants. You could easily have 2 hours lunch or more at any of the restaurants downtown.
I think one of the big issues is the building owners or the employees are parking in those areas all day long. That's the big issue. When you come downtown, lots of times you can't find any place to park. Oh, no. I don't know whether the 2-hour limit will alleviate that.
Well, to me, the biggest thing is going to be the enforcement. If it's not going to be enforced, why are we doing it? And if we are going to enforce it, then somebody's gonna have to mark tires, they're gonna have to come back, check. I do think we need to do something because I have seen business owners pull up and park in front of somebody else's business and walk across the street to their own business. Therefore taking up a place in front of somebody else's spot and they just leave it all day. So there's got to be a better solution. I'm not sure what it is. But someplace along the line, we have to have a balance. And maybe 2 hours is too short of a time. Maybe we need to go to 4 hours, but we do need to have some kind of a balance here to prevent somebody from just parking and leaving their car all day while they're working someplace else.
On that, I know exactly what you're saying, Rich. I do not park in front of anybody else's property. I absolutely refuse to unless today I parked in front of Grounds and Goodies to run into my building quick and leave. Like I said before, if I'm downtown, I'm working on a building. I'm sticking my private personal money in my buildings. I keep saying this and I will keep repeating this. If I'm parked downtown, I'm working. And like I said before, I drive multiple vehicles and none of them are marked. It's the overnight stuff, as far as I'm concerned. It's the with the snow removal and everything else. But I know what you're saying because I've seen it. I'm downtown enough that I've seen people park and go across the street to other buildings and other people's, into their personal property. But I, for one, don't do that.
Well, and I appreciate that, but I wasn't saying it was you.
Nope, I know, but I want to make that clear because I don't think it's right to take up space in front of somebody's business. Now, the flip side of that is it's nice to see vehicles at least downtown because it looks busy. And the Sundays and Mondays, I think, are typically the deadest days downtown. So, your days of what you want to do here and your hours, but if you do something, it's gotta be more than 2 hours. I mean, people can go down, you got marked tire, they can move the vehicle. If there's a spot open up behind them, they just back up. You could move all day long on Main Street, but so anyway, I just want to clarify that. I don't do that and I won't do that.
If we were to do it, there probably should be verbiage. I mean, because there's nothing in here stipulating that you couldn't. Yeah, just move it ahead, like Tom said.
Just a couple of things, regardless of how the council, moves on this. So we've tried the overnight parking enforcement heavily and for extended periods of time, and it has not fixed the problem down there. This is clearly a daytime parking issue to the effect of disturbing or promoting businesses. Like most good public employees, you don't reinvent the wheel, you borrow from somebody else. This is an extremely common ordinance that is found in virtually every small community in the state of Iowa. I copied and pasted it verbatim from other places. It's used the exact same way and it's always implemented in the same way. It is promoting their downtown business district, which is where the 2 hour limit is in place. And it is to try to dissuade non-consumers from taking up valuable, or in this case, limited parking in front of businesses, so that consumers can move in and out at a fairly decent pace. I think, no ordinance is perfect, but that's kind of the idea of why it's in place, to keep people moving through the downtown businesses. I think it's possible that we could rush some of those individuals then at that point. The alternative is, however, what we're dealing with is those who do park their vehicles down there all day long. Whether, downtown residents or others. So we're trying to prevent that from happening, so those businesses can have the people come in there and park, not have to park a great distance away. As far as enforcement goes, this provides no greater obligation on the officers or enforcement measures. It'll be handled the exact same way as every other parking enforcement is in the city, largely complaint driven. And it will require the officers to come down and mark the tires and revisit after a time period to make sure that it's not still there. And it's no different than we enforce any other parking ordinance. So just some things, I guess, both for the council and those who brought to the council's attention tonight, their thoughts on it to think about anyways.
Would it be possible to put parallel parking on one side of the street? So that there would be more parking spaces? One of the issues is there aren't very many parking spaces.
Agreed. Yeah. Parking downtown is very limited. I don't know what the solution is to that. I've heard, of course, wasn't here at the time, but I've heard that there has been talk of that in the past, but there's fear of it causing traffic related collisions and other things of that nature, or possibly not enough room. I don't know the answer to that. I do agree though that it is, that's really why we're here in the first place talking about this, and why there's, I think, some disagreement towards it is limited. We're all vying for the same spots and there's just not that many of them.
Well, maybe another option is to put meters back in.
That also came up this week as a solution.
I mean, it's a possibility.
I do think Ms. Dearborn brought up a good point, however. I think that for those who know me, I guess, and what we've been doing with these other ordinances, I do feel it's important, if we're going to have the signs there, there needs to be an ordinance to match that. That's correct. That's proper. If we're not, then the signs should be removed. But whatever we do, yeah, it's got to be enforceable and we've got to follow through with it.
Oh, another suggestion, and business owners may not like this suggestion, but I'm just throwing it out there just as a suggestion. Yeah, it's nice to have your cars there in the street to make it look like it's busy, but what if you park them someplace else? So the streets weren't as crowded with cars that, I'm not saying that you have to, but it would help. The way I run my business now, we don't have as many customers because we're doing restorations. But when I was doing insurance work, we parked out on the street in the cul-de-sac. So the parking, I had parking at our business, so we just didn't have to walk that far, but I'm just saying that's an alternative that would open up a few spaces. I mean, we really don't have a lot of room downtown at all. And to park at an angle, those streets really aren't that wide. It is, I think we discussed that a while back.
There was a survey done after
Yeah.
the downtown assessment, and I guess the data indicated that the space was not conducive
Yeah,
for angle parking, and it also would create unsafe navigation of other vehicles in the downtown area.
yeah, we threw that out at the time.
There's not, when you have the way they're parked now, when you have the 2 lanes plus the turning lane, it's pretty, if you have big trucks, it's pretty tight as is.
One other thing I would like to make, and I hope it's not taken out of context, but likely could be, will be. The parking on Main Street downtown, which I think is more the focus of some of the feedback we're getting, is public parking. The entire Main Street is public parking. That parking spot in front of any one business is not their parking. The entire downtown is public parking. I understand it's a convenience to have that spot available in front of your establishment. But because you are a downtown business owner, doesn't make it a requirement for you to have access. I am going to move this along unless Kay is going to rescind her motion.
Don't think so.
All right, so we have a motion by Kay, second by Teresa. Also, a yes vote would favor the motion to approve the amending of the ordinance. A no vote obviously would be not in favor. Penny, would you please conduct a roll call?
Zumba,
No.
Stout,
No.
Trump,
If we don't do this, can we look at this and come up with an alternative plan?
Right.
Okay. At this time, then because of looking at an alternative plan, I will say no.
Kay Smith,
Yes.
Tukin,
After discussion, I'm going to say no. Can I do that?
Pardon?
Yeah. Can I do that?
oh, Harvard,
Yeah.
Okay, no. After the discussion, no.
So we had 4 no votes, 1 yes vote. The final reading did not pass. I guess I will be treading on new ground. I've never seen a final reading not pass, so we did pass it twice. It is required 3 readings. So I believe that it will just die out, and we will likely revisit similar at a future time.
I think that's positive. Yes.
7.3, ordinance amending the Anamosa Code of Ordinances by repealing chapter 76 pertaining to bicycle licensing, final reading.
Move to approve. Second.
Thanks, Rich. Motion by Kay, second by Rich. Council discussion? Public comment? Penny?
Stout,
Yes.
Trump,
Yes.
Kay Smith,
Yes.
Tukin,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Motion to approve, carried. 7.4, ordinance amending the Anamosa Code of Ordinances by amending chapter 90.31 pertaining to water service system materials for service pipes. First reading.
Steve may have some more on this. I think it's pretty straightforward for the most part. I did include the strike through portion of the codes, which we're thinking about either removing or amending. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, I think, but.
Steve Agnes, Utility Superintendent. So what brought this on was with the building being constructed in Anamosa, the review the ordinances to find out what they need for a service line. As in item number 1, it says if the service line is less than 60 feet, but there's nothing in the ordinance that says what to do after if it's over 60 feet. So Robert and I discussed it, and we feel that we just need to remove that if the service line is less than 60 feet, and they can still use the 2-inch type K copper, and it won't be a big deal. And then on down to number 2, we're just changing it, updating it from the old PVC to the new PVC. And then number 4, they said, where it's just a tracer wire location for anything that's plastic. We want it put on top of the pipe and not a foot around the pipe. We want it put on top. So just trying to, make things a little tighter. And if you guys would, I would hope that you would pass all 3 readings tonight. So that way, if we have another incident like this, we could, then the ordinances are correct.
Council have any questions?
So with just a question, with the tracer wire below the pipe, have you had difficulty tracing them?
Yes, it's easier to trace it when it's on top.
But have you had
Yes,
difficulty
we have.
with below? Okay. Well, that makes sense. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Alan. Council discussion. Public comment. Benny, please.
Zumba,
Yes.
Tukin,
Yes.
K Smith.
Yes.
Trump,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Motion to approve first reading carried. Possible motion, waiver of second and third readings.
Move to waive second and third reading.
Second.
Okay, was that you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion by Alan, second by Kay to waive the second and third readings. Council discussion. Public comment.
Hello, I'm Dick Dearborn, 600 North William Street here in Anamosa. I was going to wait until the public comment towards the end of the meeting to show my pleasure of how the council conducted themselves in the third reading and just reinforce that's why we have 3 readings. I know, Mayor, you've done in the past as a council member, always insisted on the third reading. And I just think that tonight was a great example as to why we do that. I really don't know the particulars of this one. I really don't. Maybe 3 readings is not necessary, but I was going to commend you after, but I wanted to just bring it up now. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Dick. With that, Dick does bring up a valid point that I was going to comment or state. We had an opportunity earlier because of a third reading to revisit, refocus. By passing this evening, we would not have them. Granted, council can always probably come back and have further discussion or create another ordinance. But I would prefer not to miss this opportunity for secondary thought, even after this evening. Again, as Dick said, it may not have any impact at all, but it is an opportunity that you would be missing. We do have a motion and a second. Penny, would you conduct a roll vote on waiving of the second and third?
Can we have discussion?
You sure can, Rich.
Well, I guess my question is the 3 items that you have listed here. It looks to me like really the only thing that could be a detriment to anybody, if I'm looking at this right, is the removal of the 60 feet, less than 60 feet. Is that correct?
What do you mean is a detriment?
Well, because
Well,
changing the PVC type is really,
current materials.
that's current material, so
Yep.
that's kind of irrelevant. Because you're going from an old material to a newer material, so.
Mhm.
The other part is placing the tracer line
Mhm.
above the pipe as opposed to below the pipe. So that's really
Mhm.
your hole's dug. It's not going to make a difference.
Correct.
So those two items really aren't a detriment to anybody. It's not changing anything drastically, correct? So the only other thing is your the copper tubing, if the service line is less than 60 feet and you're eliminating the 60 feet.
Mhm.
So it applies to everybody across the board.
Yes, because the building, for example, that was trying to get built was gonna be a 70 or 80 foot service line.
And at what point are they in their process?
I told them to go ahead.
Okay, so
I'll admit it, that I told them to go ahead because I didn't feel that it was a big concern, and then went right to Jeremiah with this and had the conversation.
okay.
So I just wanted to get the ordinance cleaned up because the ordinance also did not state what, okay, if it's 65 feet, then do this. It did not give us
We didn't
that.
have anything covered.
There's
in that
nothing
portion of
that
it.
says what to do if it's over 60
Okay.
feet. So that's why,
So
like I
this is
said-
actually putting that into place for over 60 feet. So everybody would be consistent.
yes, so they can, if there's no footage requirement. Now, if it's 70 feet or 80 feet, they can just go ahead and use the same material.
Okay,
So,
so there's really nothing in here that is going to be detrimental to
No.
anybody.
no, it's not.
Okay,
So. Any questions?
Penny, would you conduct a roll vote?
Tukin,
Yes.
Kay Smith,
Yes.
Trump,
yes,
Stout,
No.
Zumba,
Yes.
Motion to approve waiver of second and third readings carried, 4 in favor, 1 opposed. 7.5, review and approve amend 28E agreement between the city of Anamosa and Anamosa Community School District regarding the use and maintenance of recreational facilities.
This is just revisit from a few months ago. The Anamosa Community School District had reached out to us and requested that we formalize this existing 2080 agreement. I did not include the old one in here. That's my apologies on that. It was pretty rudimentary, I would classify it. We did just change some of the verbiage for them and submit it back. Their attorneys made several changes, enough that I did not feel comfortable just approving it. So I had Lynch Dallas review it. They did indicate that as to the affirmative, that it did not substantially change the agreement, and they would have no issues recommending the approval of this. So if it's approved tonight, I'll send it back to the superintendent for their approval on Monday.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Alan. Council discussion. Public comment. Penny, please.
Kay Smith,
Yes.
Trump,
yes,
Stout,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Tukin,
Yes.
Motion to approve carried. 7.6, review and approve consent agenda. Pay request totaling $16,515.08. I will read each line item. Council can make a consent motion to approve all of them, or they can itemize them how the motion prefers. Item A from HR Green in the amount of $515.58 for planning and zoning GIS services. Item B from HR Green in the amount of $344 for water department GIS services. Item C from Martin Garner Architecture in the amount of $1,312.50 for the Anamosa Downtown Revitalization Project, Phase 2. Item D from Snyder and Associates in the amount of $3,931 for the Second Street Lift Station Project, Phase 2. Item E from Snyder and Associates in the amount of $10,412 for the US 151 grade separation and roundabout project.
move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Alan, consent agenda. Council discussion. Public comment? Penny, please.
Hump,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Tukin,
Yes.
Smith,
Consent motion carried. 8.0 City Administrators Report.
To follow up with the council's inquiries from last week, Shive Hattery payment was the final payment. Isaac would like to thank everybody for, that vote from Shive Hattery. The Shop with Cop event, December 6th and the 13th also. So one of them has already occurred and they're, going through the other one next week or this upcoming week. Public utility employees were able to engage in 12 hours of excavator training. Seemed to go good as far as everything was told to me. And Chief Whirling attended a FBI leadership training class here recently as well. Other than that, I have nothing.
Council, any questions or comments for Jeremiah? Thanks for that report, Jeremiah. 9.0 Mayor and Council Reports, 9.1 Mayor Report. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Cale Yoder to the Anamosa team. Cale is the park director. Look forward to all you're going to bring to the community. Thanks and welcome. 9.2 Council Reports.
I don't have a council report, but I would like to say that the Christmas tree walk was awesome. And I enjoyed the career day that was at the high school this week. A lot of, I think there were 37 businesses from around the community there.
It's encouraging.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kay. Anyone else? 10.0 Public comment for items not on the agenda. 11.0 Adjournment. This evening's meeting is adjourned. Everyone, thank you for coming out.